Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to the A24 project here in the Nerd Party Network. My name is Lee Hutchison and Dallas King and I make our way through the A24 filmography and along the way bring you interviews with the talent involved in front of and behind the camera. This week we're thrilled to welcome Alexander Gibson, known for his unforgettable appearance in the acclaimed show The Curse, starring alongside Emma Stone, Nathan Fielder and Benny Safdie. Alexander portrays Pascal, a native of Española who is roped into the filming of Fliplanthropy as a fake buyer for a passive living home. Join us as Alexander shares his compelling journey from his time in prison to his breakout role in The Curse. Thanks so much to Alexander for joining me and sharing his amazing journey with us, and I hope you too will enjoy this interview. What initially ignited your passion for acting, and how have you turned that into a career?
So acting was never like really a main goal for me. Like I didn't really have like my eyes dead set on acting, but I kind of always had this feeling that I wanted to entertain. I wanted to be an entertainer. So I sang a lot growing up, and I always like had this vision that I was going to be a big singer, you know, a superstar kind of thing. And then I kind of just fell into the acting world, and it just kind of started like, you know, snowballing into a little more and a little more and a little more. And then next thing you know, I find myself on The Curse, and I find myself working with all these amazing projects, and it's yeah, it just kind of happened. Yeah.
We'll definitely be touching on singing later on. You've mentioned obviously you've kind of The Curse wasn't your first show, but what would you kind of recommend people that just discovered you in The Curse to check out?
Um, well, let's see. I have a couple projects that I've worked on. Mostly the stuff that's out right now is mostly all background work. So you'd see me like, catch little snippets of me. You can see me on Hulu on This Fool. You can see me in American Gigolo. That was starring John Bernthal, just as one of the prisoners. And what else have I done? I've done a few music videos. I did a Blueface music video. That was actually one of my first gigs. But I also have two feature films that are in the work. Actually, three feature films that are in the works now. I have one feature film that's a comedy called Horchata with Oat Milk that's in post-production. Should be coming out hopefully this year. But you never know with production post and stuff. It could be this year, could be 2 years from now. But so I have that film called Horchata with Oat Milk, was like a comedy. And we did another film called Die Like a Man that was a bit more on the drama side, where I play oh yeah, sorry. In Horchata with Oat Milk, I play a character named Vago. It's kind of like a wild, kind of crazy guy, just out of this world. And then I play a character in Die Like a Man named Boom Boom. He's like one of the, like gangsters that's like just with the squad that's, like I said, that film's a little bit more on the drama side, and that was a really amazing project to work on. And just recently, my most recent project, I just got back from San Francisco. I was filming out there for 4 weeks. We did a feature film called Splash City that's like based on the culture out there called bipping. It's like a bipping culture where it's like smash and grabs. People more know them probably by. And it's really big out there. It's like a huge thing where it's like come a big problem in their community. So they decided to make a film on it. Where it's like a modern, like more crime family. Yeah, I play a supporting role in that. We did that film, and yeah, now I'm just like hanging out waiting for the next project. I got picked up to do a short film that was supposed to shoot last Wednesday, and the date just got pushed to April. So that's what we're working on right now. Yeah.
Is kind of the career getting back on track after the SAG after strikes and so on? Has it been a bit of a slow process of kind of the industry getting back into the swing of things?
Definitely it was I wouldn't say a slow process getting back, but it was very slow during, it was like, kind of like dragging dragging through the strike, like, dang, like, what's gonna happen? Like, we don't really know, how those things are gonna go sometimes. Like, this is my first time um like, I actually, the curse is what got me flipped to SAG. So I'm pretty new to joining the SAG-AFTRA and being union. And as soon as I get on this big union project and I'm union, shortly after we go into these huge, like, historical strike. It's kind of story of my lifetime stuff. But I'm like, hey. And then but once the strike lifted, we were just like, it was like running and gunning. I feel like we bounced right back into it.
Brilliant. So talking of the curse, when did you first hear about this opportunity?
I heard about it through my manager. Actually, she got the audition and put it out to the team. We have a team called From the Streets to the Set. I've been with my manager, and she has a group of us that she manages. So she sends out these auditions when she gets them, and she'll send them to the whole team or anybody that seems fit for it. And um I auditioned, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because I know some of your questions, but yeah, I auditioned. They ended up liking me, and I got a call back, and um yeah, I found out through her, and she just pushed it out to all of us.
Sounds like an interesting kind of agency and all that sort of stuff. Did you say it was from the sort of streets to the sets, did you say?
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how does that kind of work? Is that sort of looking for talent that might be not be well represented, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, yeah. It's the basis is From the Streets to the Set. The actual company is URA, Underrepresented Artists, and but yeah, we started as From the Streets to the Set, and it's literally as it sounds. Taking people that come from the street life or come from that sort of rougher background, and putting them in situations when they can where they can um uh uh make a living, like on sets, and like work our ways up. Like, I started with her on background. I had a little bit about me and a little bit about my background. I was actually in prison for quite a while. So I got arrested as a juvenile, and I was tried as an adult. So I got arrested when I was 16 years old, and I went to prison for 11 years. Came home, and I knew that I wanted to entertain and get into the entertainment business somehow. And I started as a production assistant, and then I ended up meeting somebody, or I met somebody, and then followed him on Facebook. And then shortly after that, I see him put a post on Facebook that said, "Hey, is anybody interested in being like background on a TV show, this and that?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Hit him up. He sent me an email, which happened to be Bernice's email. He said, "Send her an email and see if she needs any extra hands." Emailed her. She emailed me right back and was like, "Hey, send me a couple pictures in like a tank top, and like, like if you have tattoos, show them and stuff like that." And I was like, "Cool." I sent her some pictures. She was like, "You're perfect." Next thing you know, I found myself on the set of SWAT on CBS with Shamar Moore and all them, and I like we're doing this big, like crazy, like fight, like brawl scene with the SWAT team in an alley, like a mob of like gangster types. And that was pretty much the beginning of my acting career.
Yeah. And was that quite surreal almost to go from, I can imagine, like for such a long stretch of time in prison and probably quite a lot of dark days to then have a moment like this where you're like, could you ever imagine that you'd be there on the set of this like huge TV show and kind of, a real kind of, oh wow, like this is amazing almost.
Yeah, no, there's like throughout my career, and even to this day, I still get these moments, these flashes of like, oh my gosh, like I'm really here. Like I've even found myself on set, like what moments that just move me to tears, that like I'm so taken aback by the emotion that I have, and the feeling of just remembering where I was and seeing where I am now. It's just been a roller coaster of emotion.
Incredible. Like it was interesting to me, like that one of the kind of best known sort of like casting directors, Jennifer Vendetti, was kind of working on this show, and she's got a real eye for not noticing talent in like Safdie brothers films, where there have been people where she's picked out people that have maybe had prison experience or kind of come from background street actors, kind of social media. What was it? Did you sort of interact with her sort of during your audition experience?
You know what? If I can be 100% honest, like the whole audition like experience was kind of like a blur to me. It was just like like I had a lot of anxiety going in, and I was like, so I don't really remember too much of it. And I have to confess, too, that like I would like sitting talking on a Zoom call at one point to Nathan Fielder, and I didn't even realize who I was talking to, you know, and I'm like, just it was just a whirlwind of like a process for sure. So I can't say that I had any like notable interaction with anyone, up to that point. Yeah.
Was there a moment when it clicked for you of like, I suppose it was that this could be such a special project when you think of like, oh, I'm talking to this guy, and then you realize, what his background is. Then the same with like Safdie and then Emma Stone's involvement. Was there a moment you realized this might be a pretty special project that you've kind of you're probably in the eye of the tornado by the time you realize?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was just like because one of my other buddies from the streets just said also got cast in a film too. And that was really kind of like amazing for us, and we there was a moment when we were having our like regular team meeting for our monthly team meeting, and then we're just hanging out, and then out of nowhere like they bring out a cake that says like congratulations for getting casted on the curse, for me and the homie, and we're just like, damn, like we're gonna be working with like some real heavy hitters in this industry. Like this is like it's just insane, to like actually like have that moment of like that's when it kind of got real for us, I'd say, like, or for me at least. That's when,
It's
yeah.
amazing. Like it's interesting. Like before you got involved in sort of being on set, like when you had got the chance to read perhaps your script or your sides, did you kind of realize what the tone of the show was going to be? Was that kind of clear to you maybe in the audition, or was it very much when you realized like, oh, this has got quite a unique approach?
Well, at first, like when I initially auditioned, I wasn't too sure. I had like an idea that it was going to be like a dramatic comedy kind of thing, and I wasn't super familiar with Nathan's work. But once I did kind of get a taste of like his actual work, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be an interesting project. Like it's gonna be some out of the box. It's definitely gonna be out of the box for sure.
Were you one of those guys like diving into like YouTube, watching classic Nathan for You style clips, thinking, what have I let myself in for here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, oh wow, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Hmm.
We learned from when we were chatting with Samantha Ashley that people were tended to be kind of booked in for, say, blocks of the show. Like you appear in the middle of the show. What was it like to walk into kind of this show that was already up and running by that point?
Um, it was kind of like uh well, I just have to say, like that. And for me, there was a lot of nerves involved. So, so I like this was the biggest project that I had worked on to date. So, like coming into a project of this magnitude, I'm just like trying to stay focused. Like I want to impress people. I also don't want to make a fool of myself. I'm just like just dealing with a lot of emotion, and like I guess I kind of just sat back and watched. I just know everybody's like working and moving, like in their flow already by that time. Um so I just kind of stayed uh just kind of stayed in my space, to be able to observe and just um kind of get a handle for what the tone of the show is, and like Yeah.
It's an interesting show because like there's almost a kind of naturalism, then there's a very off-kilter vibe that I can imagine for actors could be challenging. How did you approach that aspect of the performance? Because your character really stands out of like he's someone that brings a real tone of enthusiasm, even sort of quite a bit self-aware enthusiasm for like this house and the warmth, and it makes him stand out. Like how do you approach such a, it's not a normal or natural tone but something quite unique?
Yeah, no, it was super unique, and it was like I definitely had some difficulty navigating, like some of the scenes, just like knowing like what to even be doing, like at certain points, when we're filming a show within a show, it's like okay, are we rolling? Are we cut? Are we like, and then it's it's just like, and I'm just like, okay, just stay in it, kind of, and just do what I do, Also, this was a little different from any of the other roles I've played, because most of the other roles I've been casted in are like cholos, gangsters, like those type of roles. And now I'm like playing like a regular you know, regular guy, like with a fiance, and just, um yeah, so it was an interesting to navigate, the the filming, and yeah, getting into it.
Talking of singing, like so much of the show, there was surprising twists and turns that come out of nowhere. One of those great moments where when I was rewatching it the other day is the moment where your character just like he's been viewing this house and then just like spontaneously bursts into song. Was that always in the script, or as you mentioned, you're a bit of a performer, a singer? With it, was that something where they were like, yeah, let's go with that. Let's get this involved. Like, what was the origin of that bit, or was that always expected of you?
Well, okay, so full disclosure, I had no idea they were gonna actually have me sing in the show. I did my audition, in the audition process, and then part of the audition, they asked if I had any special talents or skills, so I sang a little piece of the Stand By Me song, and and then that was it, but we ended up going through. We didn't really talk much about the singing or anything else. We didn't really talk at all about the singing up until we're doing the scene where we're walking into the house, walking through the house, and we did it about like 3 or 4 times, and then out of nowhere, Nathan comes in and talks to me. I believe it's Nathan, yeah, and he comes in and talks to me. He's like, "Okay, look, that was great. We love that. Um, okay, we want you to do the exact same thing, but right after, we want you to just start singing." And I was like, okay." Like, I had no idea. And I guess supposedly they had wanted to keep it a secret from me. They didn't want, because they wanted that authenticity of being caught off guard, and like just being on the spot with it. And I think that scene turned out beautifully. Beautifully. It was super, like, it's right on brand, It was right on brand uh um for the movie, for all of, like, Nathan's other projects, it was just right on target, I feel like.
You talked earlier on about like you've appeared in things where it's like action, gangs, etc. Did you ever imagine that one of your best ever scenes would be you talking about recycled paint? Like it is one of the funniest bits where it's like they're watching this run through of the show and it's like your character spending about 2 minutes literally talking about paint drying. It's like a mixture of boring, cringy, comical, like what talk us through that? Like that was just brilliant.
Yeah, that was literally like that was something that like in hindsight, like I would think back and be like, man, like the whole process of it, like you would think like, wow, that would be a difficult thing to accomplish, because of how it was. Because we had the original script of what we were supposed to do, obviously. And then we did it and ran it through a few times and it was nice. And then we got to the point where Nathan just started firing like paragraphs at me, and I just like taking them in and like repeating them back, like, just going off like and memorizing like all this like on the fly, and just doing it. And you would think like, man, like how the hell am I supposed to memorize so much dialogue in such a little bit of time and just feed it right back to the camera? But we got into like this little flow where he was just feeding me and I was just shooting it right back. And just engaging with my fiance. And yeah, it was a really nice scene to shoot. Like I really enjoyed it a lot, for sure.
Kind of sums up why your character is unique. In these like 10 episodes, there's something about everyone where you're like, I don't know what their motives are. Like, what are they up to? That person, there's something a bit off with them. Whereas you're just like this guy that's, you're getting your $100 or whatever to come pretend to view a house. You're being really helpful, agreeable. Like, there's nothing where you're like, you go, I get that guy. And he feels like, despite his oddness, there's something about him where you're like, it's a relief to maybe have someone like him where I'm not stressed in his company. I may be embarrassed, but I'm not stressed.
Yeah, that's true. Because I definitely feel like you do get that feeling of stress from a lot of scenes in the movie too. It's like, what's happening, like.
You mentioned obviously you've got a screen wife within a screen wife in this as well, played by Aaliyah Lee, who played Janice. What was it like to create that fake relationship with, well, I suppose a meta fake relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It was really great actually working with Aaliyah. Um, she was super helpful, super sweet. And just working with her was really amazing actually, because like I said, I was super new to being on a project like of this magnitude. And like I said, I had a lot of nerves coming in. And she's had a good amount of experience in the film industry as far as making her own films, acting and doing her own thing. And she had a comfortability about her that was comforting to me, being somebody that comes in. Because like I said, like I have a lot of nerves. I obviously come from a really different background as far as life goes, and I always get nervous, coming into certain situations like this, because like I feel, like the nervousness, like somebody might judge me, or or not want to be around me, or I've always had like this underlying fear of like people would be afraid of me if they knew who I was or stuff like that. And she was really sweet and really caring, and just comfortable to work with. We had some really great talks. And yeah, like she helped uh move us into a space of comfortability so we can get these scenes done. And obviously I've never done any scene where I had a counterpart that was like a love interest. So it was she was just great. Yeah.
Does being in something like The Curse with like the caliber of cast that you're alongside, equals and so on, does that give you like confidence, and does that kind of help build that kind of trust in yourself and kind of the industry you're kind of taking these big steps into?
Uh, it definitely does. It's definitely a confidence boost. To sit and be able to say like, yes, these are my co-stars. And that was a big thing. When I got cast in my first film, actually, Horchata with Oat Milk, I found myself on set like feeling inadequate. Feeling unequal. And feeling like, man, like these guys, like they casted a lot of really big social media personalities, that are like kind of like larger than life, in their presentation of themselves. And I'm like, man, just like how am I find myself like, how am I even supposed to like add up, stack up against these people, you know, or stack up with them. And like somebody, one of the directors on set just told me like, no, you're here for a reason, you know, and you're just as big a part of this movie as anybody else, you know, and you guys are all equals. You guys all got cast in this movie, you know, you guys all auditioned and you all got cast. And 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 no, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to take something like that and move forward with it through my next through all my new projects that I do, you know. And I've kind of like had to sit with myself and just remember that, you know, like when I'm like working, when I'm sitting there in front of the camera, like looking at Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone getting ready to belt into song, you know, and I'm like okay, you know, like I auditioned for this, you know, and I did this, yeah.
Yeah, and you've had like you've earned it. It's not just say an audition process. There's so much that goes in before even get like some people just struggle to even get in front of a Zoom call with a Nathan Fielder and to do that, and then you go beyond that where you're like a week ago Emma Stone won an Oscar and there you are holding your own in scenes and people are it's not just oh Emma Stone and this guy, it's Emma Stone and you as well. Like you really are like scene partners as well. Like you've had to do so much to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely it's just mind blowing to me, you know, like that a guy like me, you know, that pretty much grew up and was raised in the prison system, you know, could come home, you know, and build this career, you know, where I'm standing and working alongside as equals, you know, with these such amazing people that have been so inspiring to me, you know, to watch, you know, throughout my life, you know. It's just been it blows my mind.
Like obviously you share a lot of scenes with Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder as their characters and Whitney and Ash as they make this fake TV show. What did you sort of make as of the dynamic between the two? Like watching this kind of you have a quite a nice relationship, you and your fiance. Theirs is a little less so. What was it like to observe their performances?
Oh man, just observing their performances was like just it was amazing to me. Like I couldn't like I said, it was such a weird, like an interesting dynamic, you know, with the way it was being shot, you know, also. So that definitely played a factor into like seeing watching watching them work. It's like I it was hard for me to tell when they were on and when they were off, you know, and like I think that just speaks volumes to their professionalism as actors, you know, that it's like that I couldn't even tell if they were out of character or not, you know. And like some days they would be a little more bubbly, a little more lighthearted, you know, and like I feel like that was the days that called for the scenes to be a little bit more playful. And then there's the days that they seemed a little bit more on edge, you know, where they're kind of like just like you know, like oh man, when they're like in it, you know. And it's just it was just amazing to watch, you know, and then watch them work together is just man, it's just incredible. Yeah.
What were some of your maybe favorite scenes to shoot or days on set for yourself?
Uh, I would have to say definitely the singing scene, because for one I love to sing, and just to be able to do that, you know, like that's like a thing, you know, like that, like people like me and my friends and everybody are all like, oh yeah, like no, like yeah, my friends sang for Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder, you know, like and that was always kind of like I love singing, you know. In prison I used to sing for like my boys in there, and like I would do like late nights, and like so singing has been a really special thing to me, and to be able to showcase that and sing with alongside these such amazing actors, and do that in on such an amazing project, and to have it showcased on Showtime, that was just like one that's definitely a highlight. And then obviously the paint scene was like it just it was amazing just to do that scene, you know, also. Yeah.
What can you tell us about sort of Nathan Fielder's like directing style? Like, what's it like to? Obviously, you're shooting a show within a show, in particular for your character. What was he kind of like as a director for you?
Um, you know what? He seemed very much in character most of the time. Um, so yeah, like if he was giving actual direction or if he was giving show direction, like for like I couldn't really tell, and that like I said, that again, that speaks volumes to his talent, as an artist. Um yeah, but he was in it, when he was, but he was still like had that very Asher quality to everything that he did, like when he was directing, for sure.
When did you get to see the show for the first time, and what was your reaction to it? Because obviously, we've heard from people like you'll get to see bits and pieces going on, and it's shot all of out of order. What was it like to finally see it all brought together?
It was definitely it was amazing. We actually did a like a mini screening within our team. We all came together and we watched it on the first episode, at least, on the projector at the office. And it was super dope because we got to see my homie Chris Calderon. I'm forgetting the character. And that was what I was going to touch on. I originally um I auditioned for his character.
Oh,
We
is that the
auditioned.
one that worked sort of behind the kind of that was like worked at the kind of coffee shop and then has the gun the whole time?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Oh, brilliant. He was fantastic.
yes.
I'd love to get him on.
Yes. Reach out to him for sure. Yeah, because he's definitely incredible at what he does. But we had originally auditioned, like all of us had got the audition for that character that he plays, and I had originally auditioned for that, and they were like, okay, we really like you, but we would like you to audition for a different character. And that was kind of like my callback. And when I got the audition, the sides for Pascal, and then everything went from there. But yeah, we sat down and we watched it together. And first opening scene, you see him, like it's like the first shot, and that was just like incredible to see, like somebody, from our team that is opening the show, is it was just amazing. And then like just watching the show as it unfolded, and like getting into it is just like man, like where is this shit going? Yeah, like rolling into it, like watching it and like seeing how it builds up into to when I finally make my entrance. It's just it was insane. And then like I get to see my scenes where like we just go through that whole process, and then it's it's just like incredible to see it all put together. It was just, yeah, it was just.
And what was kind of the reaction from your friends, family, peers to your performance?
Oh, everybody is so excited. Everybody that that knows the work that I do. That has been watching me from since I come home. From prison. Like I even have guys that I was in prison with that are out now too, and they're like seeing these things like, dang, like that's the homie right there, like on TV, like,
They'll be knocking on people, going, "That guy sung for me in prison, like that guy
yeah.
there," and so on. And you hear so many stories about how for folk when they leave prison, it can be so easy to fall back into the prison system as well. And I suppose it's such a great example of someone that can go from something so difficult to like achieving the Hollywood dream and so on as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely it's been a journey for sure. You know, uh yeah, it goes from like living that life, for so long, and like even like when you're doing that much time, you get to a certain point, at least for me, I got to a certain point where I felt like I wasn't really sure if I was ever going to come home, because so much things go on in there, where there's, people die in there, like stuff happens and it gets crazy, and you have to become accustomed to that lifestyle, and you have to get comfortable in it, because that was my life, as was being surrounded by that chaos, and just the only way you can survive and remain sane is by finding a level of comfortability with it, and then to come home and discover an entirely new challenge, and and pursuing a career that I know nothing about is challenging too, like you think, and then you think coming home from all that, like you're like, man, the worst is over, everything is over, like the hard times are over, but like, and in reality, that's not always the case, like there's still difficulties out here that we all deal with as normal people that haven't been to prison or lived any kind of like that, like just like I'm sure you have had difficult times in your life, just like any other human being. And I think I was kind of clouded by the joy I was feeling of coming in, like coming home, and then I dive right into an industry that's like just rejection after rejection after rejection, and it's like, and I think that's the what I've learned in this industry is that, like, the people that are gonna make it are the ones that have the thickest skin and the ones that can hang on the longest, because like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of dedication and putting everything you have into it, but it's also all of that and then being told no, so like you can put all this work in, you can do everything you have and everything in your power to get done what you need to get done, and hours and hours and hours of auditioning, and then they just be like, nope. And then you just have to be like, fuck, dust yourself off and then do it again.
It's exciting to think that these are the strides you made in just a few years, and where it's going to be in another 5 and another 10. You've made such an exciting start.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm definitely I'm really excited for where things are going as far as my career and just working towards goals and just pursuing things. I'm super excited too. I actually started my own company recently, and I'm like looking to get to a space where I can, like, I'm already, I feel like I'm already in a space where I'll be able to be a creator and an artist for the rest of my life, but to be able to open, like, the company I started, I would like to open doors for other people, to be able to create and be able to pursue art as a career, you know
And that's the way to do it sometimes, isn't it? You have it so many times where people make it, but they forget that other people want to make it as well. And, it sounds like, from your agent and others around you, they've given you that helping hand and you want to pass that on as well. And that's something that's so powerful and something we should do regardless of our careers.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. Yeah, and like especially for people like me too, like there's so many guys that come home and are like like I even had one of my homeboys that came home. We got out around the same time, and he's like one of the guys that are like tattoos all over their face, like tattoos everywhere, and like gang life, and like living in that lifestyle is all they really really know, like, and like just in and out of prison like over and over again their whole lives. And I remember sitting with him and talking to him, and he would just have this sad look, and we're free, and he would have this sad look on his face, and he would just tell me like, man, bro, like I don't know what it is, like I miss the homies, and I would just be like, damn, like my boy, like we're out here for them.
Yeah.
and he
And
just
you
couldn't
hear so
understand.
many people that have that reaction, isn't it? Where they feel like, oh, I had a community there, I had the friends, I had, a dependable life and so on. Like, as you touch on, there's so many difficulties in the outside world, but sometimes you go, you know what? I got my 3 meals a day, I had a company, I had all that sort of stuff. And you can see why people would feel like they want to go back into that world.
Yeah, yeah, and like coming home, like for somebody like me at least, that went in as a child, there's so much to learn, like I had to learn. I came home, I had to learn how to drive a car. I had to learn how to do my taxes. I had to learn how to work a regular job. There's so many things that we have to learn, and there's so many things that can discourage us, you know but the reality of this world that we live in is we literally live in the land of opportunity. And there's as much as there are companies that will be like, no, I don't want to hire you because you're a felon. There are just as many people that will hire you. But you just have to weed through them, and you have to be consistent. You have to be able to not give up on yourself. I've been super blessed, coming home, just to be in the company of some amazing people, that do this work. When I first came home, like I was involved with a man that started a nonprofit organization that is pretty much centered on um, stopping the cycle of coming and going from in and out of prison. It's called ARC. It's the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. So they started that, and the guy, that founder of ARC, is actually, this is also a little bit of what got me pushed me in the direction of film too, because the guy that started it, the founder of ARC, is actually the director of the Hangover movies. His name is Scott Budnick. Yeah, he's an amazing gentleman, and super inspirational in my life. Just um, seeing everything that he's done in the industry, and that he's done for people like me, has just been inspiring. But yeah, but there's the ARCs, and then there's like Homeboy Industries with Father Greg Boyle. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they've been super impactful out here in LA, just with giving people second chances, and then meeting Bernice, that got me into the on camera side. I also, through ARC, I actually started out, okay, so before I started doing my acting work, I was working on the production side. And through ARC, I met and I got linked up with another organization that's was founded by, I believe, Dan Seaver. And he the organization is called Manifest Works, and it's literally where, like, they give you a full course, on how to be a production assistant and how to conduct yourself on set. And so I went through this course, learning how to be like the best PA in the game, and learned everything about being on set, and then worked my way into a career of that, and like building, and like, so I found myself on all kinds of sets, working, like, like, even when I did SWAT for background, I was able to network myself into a position as a production assistant after being a background on SWAT. Yeah, so like those were some of my that was my first big show that I had a lot of involvement with, being background and being a production assistant on. So I was just in that environment for a long time.
It's incredible. So it sounds like there's a lot of exciting kind of projects on the horizon. Like, where's the best place to kind of stay up to date with like your kind of stories and experiences? There are films to come.
I have my Instagram accounts is where I post mostly everything. I try to do everything on social media, which I've been learning to manage a lot more, a
Yeah, I
lot
suppose that
better.
you must have missed so much of kind of the advancements of social media in that time. I suppose Facebook must have just been kind of coming on just as you kind of were unfortunately incarcerated.
You know what? I heard about. I think the first time I heard about Facebook was probably through the Facebook movie. With and I didn't know anything about it. I did have a MySpace before I got arrested. But yeah, I always joke, because it's like, oh yeah, before I went to prison, I had a flip phone and a MySpace, and now I have a computer on my wrist, like it's crazy to me. But yeah, we do everything mostly with my team. Like I've had to learn social media because we do everything. A lot of our communication through Instagram. But yeah, you guys, they can follow me on Instagram. My main account is great_Alex_9. That's where I post like all my film stuff, everything. And then I have my business account also. If you guys want to know about the brand or anything like that,
Give us, hey, here's a good chance for a shameless plug. Tell us about your brand.
oh yes, bro, shameless plug. I would love to, bro, because this is my baby, um, uh, and it means so much to me. I started the company Going Nuts Entertainment because for me, I had to find ways to cope when I was in prison. A lot of things going through your head. Your mind's running 1,000 miles an hour because you're literally sitting in a cell with nothing to do but think. So I used art to escape that. And I used writing music. I used drawing. And any other form of creating that I could, to kind of get through that. And like with the company, I'm trying to promote like the use of the artistic expression to cope with our mental mishaps, like be it anxiety, depression, like like I've had dealings like with suicidal thoughts, and stuff like that. And like the goal is to end up being able to create a space for people that are dealing with things like this to come and create and kind of get out of their own heads, and the thing is that we're all kind of going nuts, in some way or another. We're all, like, I believe we're all just a bunch of peanuts that could crack at any moment, like just one thing to go wrong, and then we're flying off the handles. But that's kind of like the dream and the vision, and I intend on creating these spaces, to help people all over the world one day.
And where can people find that again, that your company?
So I have the Instagram, obviously, is Going Nuts Entertainment. And then we have a website up, and I have a little like a bio and a mission statement set up and stuff where people can look at things and learn a little bit about the company. It's goingnutsentertainment.com. And yeah, we have some big things in the works, and we're planning some really amazing projects.
Well, thank you so much for joining. It's been a real pleasure to talk about your career so far, and like it's the antithesis of what we want to do with this podcast. That it's so easy to think of like the people like Emma Stone, Ian Fielder, but there's so many people in these kind of projects like yourself that have maybe these smaller roles, but just brilliant stories to share as well. And it's great to have folk like you on and give them a platform for an hour to talk.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, my brother. It's you've been a delight to talk to. I was super excited when you guys reached out, and I was like, man, I'd love to sit and be able to share about the curse. It was really a defining moment in my career that just a next level type deal for me, and I'm so excited and grateful that you brought me on to talk about it, brother. I appreciate you.